So why should we care about hunger? Because, for example, there's enough food in the world. We have enough food to feed everyone. We have had for many years. Because it's a matter of unequal distribution, lack of access for many people who don't have land, sufficient land to grow food, or don't have the cash to buy the food. Because the solutions are known and available. That is, we're not waiting for the scientists in the white coat to come out and say, look, we found the solution, eureka. We're not waiting for them. We know what has to happen. And the solutions are available to us now. Because of how hunger looks today? Because, lots of reasons. Because of personal values? Because we think it's simply unacceptable in the world today that we have hunger? That we have people dying of hunger? And this is because it's based on our faith. We simply think it's the morals of the issue, that based on the morals that I have personally, that this is not acceptable. Is it because we feel that politics are a key issue and that we need stability in our world, and that the reason that people starve is simply because of public policy? Priorities are not what they should be. Lots of us have different reasons, different perspectives as to why hunger exists and therefore what we can do to deal with the causes. Is it an economic issue that is domestic in your own backyard? International, relates back to world stability. Can the entire world develop properly, sustainably, if 1/6, that is at the bottom billion, 1 billion of the 6 billion people in the world are simply not making a contribution? Is it personal well-being? Is it, in the end, national security, international peace? Can we sustain our world today with the number of hungry poor around us? So, from a morality point of view, morality defines personal character, personal views and values. In terms of hunger, some people simply believe that helping others is the right thing to do. We should be doing this. There's questions of ethics within the moral system in which morals are applied. Hunger. We have social safety net systems in the US and many first world countries that take care of the poorest people. For example, food stamps in the US, or school lunch programs, like I mentioned, in the town of Beauregard, just outside Auburn here in Alabama. For others, simply helping is not enough. Simply helping to feed someone in front of them is not enough. They see that as charity. And that charity is a good thing, but it's not dealing with the underlying causes, that there's social justice issues to be considered, public policy priorities to be considered. Faith. For many, it's simply a question of faith. And all world religions, we know, require their followers to help the poor and hungry. A quote from the Bible, "He who is generous will be blessed, for he gives some of his food to the poor." In the Quran, it's mentioned again. All world religions have some aspect of their teaching to help you focus on helping the hungry poor, to helping those who are less advantaged than yourself. So, does one religion affect their morals or ethics or both? President Clinton, the US president a few years ago, said it very well. Hunger is not just a problem for politicians. We all, the world community, have an ethical and moral obligation to help those who are suffering. Politics. President Reagan, back at the time of the first great Ethiopian famine in the early 1980s, talked about a hungry child knows no politics. Personally, I was working for the Select Committee on Hunger in the House of Representatives at the time, prior to joining the UN, and this was a key issue at that time, was, would we be able to work out a special relief program? There were many issues with the government, between the US and the Ethiopian government at the time. There were a lot of political considerations, logistical considerations, not to mention simply lack of money to be available. And President Reagan said very clearly at that point, no, a hungry child, because they know no politics, we're not going to get involved. We will simply help. because they are hungry. Helped tremendously to break the political logjam at that time about helping in the U.S. in particular. Many other donor countries follow the same kind of approach. If it's emergency and there's a need now, we will do it. The best part of much of this is that in the system such as in the U.S., hunger has always been a bipartisan issue. Both major parties agree fully when it comes down to a basic need, an emergency need, and the fact that a hungry child must be helped. From a political point of view as well, many are concerned about stability at home and abroad, the idea that if you have starving and hungry people living in poverty around the world, that this will affect stability back home, and that in the end globalization, if indeed the world is to effectively develop globally, that political stability must be assured. So, economics, reducing hunger, building human capital. Unless you have a full stomach, unless your nutrition is assured and your mental capacity has developed, your physical capacity is there, how are you going to make a contribution in your society, in your community, in your family? It works the same all the way through. And when we look for the overall world needs, that's how we will attain sustainable human development equally at all levels around the world. So the economics of it, addressing the needs of the hungry. Perhaps this should be the main point of entry as to why we should care. We need to promote education. Education is the future, in that every generation, unless you have an educated component in your society, how can you expect to develop your economy, your society, your culture? It's important. Get more kids in school, and in many cases, you have to assure that nutrition is there, and that the children are healthy. And this is what you need food for, and this is why you have so many school feeding programs in first world countries as well as countries around the world. You have to promote education, get kids in school, keep them in school, and through those programs promote health and nutrition. And we'll be talking more about this in future units. Interestingly, education is the key to overall population growth. Many times I get the question, well, the poor, they keep having babies and the babies die and it's sad, but not only what does it have to do with me, but how can we overall deal with world population growth? It's getting too fast, too many of us to feed. Well, we know that an educated girl is the key. Education overall, but especially educating girls. We know that by having an educated population, increasing the percentage in the world of educated people, that we will be able to reduce population growth. And we'll be coming back to that in a future unit as well. We know that economic growth can be supported through local markets, developing local markets for farmers' produce, increasing the ability of individuals to participate in the marketplace by providing opportunities for them to be engaged in the world economy. And this then creates new markets. Economic impact of food production, the increase in food prices, something that we're seeing very much now. I mentioned earlier on that on average, most of us in a first world country such as the US, we're spending 10, 15% of our income on food. I mentioned that the bottom billion, the hungry poor, the poorest of the poor, are spending 70 cents. In many parts of the world, the middle class, in middle income countries, spending maybe 40, 50, 60%. It's a very major impact on their income when food prices go up. And this is due to economic growth in a number of larger countries such as India, and the fact that we've got shifting economies around the world from farming to industrialization, simply less land available for farming. And we pave over much of the arable land for buildings and factories. We have situations of specialized agro-industries, especially biofuels, where food is being siphoned off, if you will, from the world market of food for human consumption or animal consumption and used to fuel our SUVs. an issue that we hadn't seen coming, but this has become a major, major issue and a major driver of economies in countries such as Brazil. So food for fuel, the competition here, where food is versus fuel. Higher demand for energy due to industrialization and economic growth. This has had a major impact on food production, the shift to certain crops, and increasing overall food prices around the world. Moving on to personal well-being, the idea that we need to be concerned about world hunger because of national security issues. Solving chronic hunger creates peace and stability in the world. President Obasanjo of Nigeria a few years ago at the executive board of WFP said a hungry person is an angry person. It's in all of our interests to take away the cause of that anger. Lord Orr, a number of years ago, the first Director General at the FAO, said you cannot build peace on an empty stomach. The idea that with hungry people who are desperate, they will do desperate things. They will do anything to survive. They will do anything for their next meal. And that this overall is a threat to world peace and stability, having this situation. It's a powerful argument. Personal well-being, another reason why we should be concerned. The Berlin airlift made all the difference in the world back in the early 60s, when literally all the food that was consumed in West Berlin was flown in by the Allies at the time in order for the West Berliners to survive. It was one of the first major foreign aid operations that was food-based to show that this kind of system can work. We know, even more recently, that hunger can lead to food riots, as we've had in Haiti, in Cairo, in a number of countries where major riots have developed because of the fact that food prices have either gone up and people feel that it's unfair. Often we find that the hungry poor, being hungry as they are, they're very much preoccupied with their next meal. But the instability, the riots, the political problems will develop when they feel injustice, when they feel that, yes, they have problems of lack of access to food and that, but that there are profiteers, there are people who are making extra profit in raising the food prices and such. That's a very volatile mix, and it's a situation where you often then find violence that develops in these situations, and then political instability. The sustainability question. This is very topical now on many campuses around the country. In many countries, there are sustainability minors, there's a sustainability center. We're looking more at what is the issue of sustainability? Well, food is a basic need for human beings. We have 1 billion of the world's population who simply do not know where their next meal is coming from. That's not a sustainable world. That cannot be acceptable in a sustainable world. The vision that we would like to see. Addressing hunger creates a platform for tackling many other global issues because food is such a basic need. The idea of more equal distribution and a triple bottom line. Many of you in your various classes, I'm sure, in your higher education, have learned about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I think this is a very good way of explaining how the world needs to take the issue of hunger and basic needs as being primary first. You look down here, over here, at the basic needs of the pyramid. In our world today, unless the basic needs are met, and food is right down at the bottom, water, basic needs, shelter, how can we expect families, communities, towns, states, provinces, whole countries, how can we expect them to develop and be part of our global society unless their basic needs are met? They're not going to develop confidence, achievement, self-respect. The whole idea of economic development and sustainability in these countries is not going to be possible until the basic needs of the population are met so that they have time to be educated, time to learn, time to travel, time to understand more of where they can contribute in the world today. Gandhi, a society should be judged on how it treats its most vulnerable, the poorest of the poor, the hungry poor. That is how you judge a society. Hubert Humphrey, senator from Minnesota many years ago in the US, the moral test of a government is how it treats those at the dawn of life, the children, and those in the twilight of life, the aged. Basically, those living then in the shadow of life, the sick, the needy, the handicapped, the vulnerable again. How do we treat the poorest and most vulnerable in our society?